Jason, anything you want us to hit, or you go back over, or do you want us to close it out?
No, I don't have anything. I guess the only question I have is who decided to go with the boy band look first? Was it you or was it Dirk?
The old the Backstreet Boys look, the old NSYNC look.
Welcome back to Mind the Game. Today we got an opportunity to sit down and talk to LeBron virtually. He's away with his family. I'm here at home. Some of our subsequent conversations this summer will be virtually, so bear with us if there's any technical issues that we iron out along the way, but hopefully we'll be in person some, but also definitely virtual as we are today. We got a great opportunity to sit with LeBron, talk to him about the series he just played versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, what he experienced, what he faced, what he thinks of the T-Wolves. I thought they were very impressive throughout the series. We've seen a team here mature. They made a big trade last summer. Cat going to New York, and DiVincenzo and Julius Randle going to the T-Wolves. And I think they've done an amazing job this year finding an identity with those new pieces. Not easy to do. So big shout out to their coaching staff and players for how they've been able to kind of matriculate through the season, find this identity, and be an incredible team when it counts the most. And we'll also talk a little bit about Anthony Edwards and the leap he's made recently from, primarily a scorer to a playmaker. And Lakers did a lot of things in this series to try to slow him down, to try to take away his impact, to keep him off their rim. And he showed, I think, some incredible growth and maturity, moving the ball, making simple passes, playing with different paces, changing gears, a growth and maturity that, I think we love to see in all of our young stars in this league. So great conversation with LeBron today, looking back on the series with the T-Wolves. Hope you guys enjoy. Mind the game.
Yes, sir. Back again, baby.
Back at it. Hey, First of all, condolences. Obviously, sad to see you guys go out of the playoffs.
Yeah, man.
Before we dig into that, though, I think it's probably appropriate that we send a major congrats shout out to Coach Pop.
Oh, wow. Yeah, for sure. There's no way we even start this conversation without even talking about Pop and what he means for the game, what he meant, obviously, for just the NBA, San Antonio, West Point. All the stops that he had. To be able to cross paths. We've crossed paths with Coach Pop so many times, and I had one opportunity to actually play for him in the Olympics in 2004. And obviously going against him 3 times in the NBA Finals. And, what can you say? You could say, he has, you talk about the superlatives when it comes to Coach Pop, man, his list is, out of this world. But I think what a lot of people have found out, if you ever got an opportunity to encounter a one-on-one with him, or even just in crossing, how great of a fucking guy that guy is, man. And it makes sense of how unbelievable a coach he was, because of the person he was. That's
right. Yeah, you look at the superlatives, as you say, winning as coach in NBA history, 5 titles, 18 50-win seasons.
That's insane. Insane.
170 playoff wins. Wow. 170, right?
Wow.
So over 2 NBA seasons in wins in the playoffs. Right. What about playing for him? Coach Pop had you at Team USA. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, it's just, the admiration. Like, for me, I was an 18-year-old kid, and, I got an opportunity to see it, when they won a championship in 99. And then when they won it again, I believe in 2003 maybe? So I had already had admiration, for Pop and his San Antonio teams. And, I was on the team. I was a young guy alongside, Carmelo Anthony. We were young guys. Dwayne Wade, we were super young. And, to be a part of, that team, obviously we didn't succeed like we wanted to succeed, but to be on a team with like Allen Iverson and Tim Duncan, and Coach Pop, Larry Brown, like that was just like another welcome to, to what greatness is all about, and, to to see where Coach Pop have left this game, as far as him patrolling the sidelines for as long as he did, and, the amount of wins that you just mentioned, the amount of championships, the amount of great players that he's seen come through the San Antonio franchise. It's just been a complete honor, man. And for me to have like a real personal relationship with him, that every time I see him, it's like, just so much respect and so much honor, and just, definitely will be missed, definitely will be missed. But obviously we know most important, his health is most important, but, we cannot shy away from the fact that what he was able to accomplish on those sidelines, man.
Yeah, I mean, just greatness, organizational greatness, his role as a coach, but also as a GM or president, or all the different roles he's taken on there.
Yeah.
The type of program organization they built, a big part of that DNA is him and his personality, his standards, not just what he demands from players on the court, but also the type of people he tries to recruit and or develop or influence. And you look at that family tree over there, how many coaches around the league. Steve Kerr obviously played for him. Ime played and coached with him for him. It goes on and on and on, dozens of them. But I think your point about him being a great man, and look, he's still with us, and hopefully he's going to have a big impact going forward, and his health can continue to improve. But we just want to take this time to talk about, his success and who he is. One little story that I always loved is we played them in the playoffs. Can't remember, conference finals, semifinals, and me and Tony Parker bumped heads. Was it? I can't remember. I'm sure I was bleeding as usual. I was leaking blood, and it was my nose, right? It was my nose, and it was right down the stretch of the game. Last 5-6 minutes of the game, I believe, and trying to get the blood to stop. It's like right on the crease of my nose, and this like really thin skin through there, so blood's flying out. So I come in the game, like I made it 3. It's bleeding. The refs get him out. Come back in the game, it's bleeding again. Pop was over there, like, just let him play.
Right.
Just let him play, and so they obviously not going to let me play until you get it bandaged up. But like, I believed him that he wanted me to play. He's like, I want to beat them with their full complement.
Strength. Exactly. Full strength.
We're here to win against them with their best punch. And so I always admired the type of human being he is, the way he stood up for what he believes in. Human rights.
For sure.
For people that are underserved or underadvantaged, and so I agree with you. I think you make a great point. It's not just the accolades as a coach and an organizational leader. It's the type of human being, the way he did it. I think he did such a service to our community, but also to our league. As an example for how we want to. Behave. We're all different. We're all going to have different ways of doing things. But he set a hell of an example for what success looks like and the way you approach it. Yeah,
and you always hear this. You always hear this term culture. In our league, does it have a good culture? Does this franchise have a great culture? And I think, when you look at it, if you can think of one franchise that the culture has always been. The stability of that culture, or this is how the culture is going to be ran, you automatically think about the San Antonio Spurs. And the one common, denominator has been Pop.
Right.
You could look at all the players that's come through there, when Pop became head coach, from, Vinny Del Negro to, Avery Johnson to, David Robinson to, obviously then Tim Duncan, then Manu, then Tony, then all these guys, all the way down to, DeMar DeRozan and, all these guys, Kawhi, Wemby, all these guys towards, but the one common denominator has always been Pop, and you think about culture and what everybody's, trying to build now. You hear Heat culture, you hear, all these other franchises that's building a culture. And, I think it started, man, and, like you said, the early, 1990s, when Pop took over, and it's been there to it's 2025, man.
Right.
It's 2025, and I think people try to, in all sports, you used to hear about the New England Patriots, with Belichick, but I think it started with Pop as well, with and having that influence, just being able. This is how things are going to be ran. no single person is bigger than this culture and what we're trying to build here. And I think that has a lot to do with success. Obviously, we've seen it.
Yeah, well, coming from the both of us, we hope we see and hear a lot more from Coach Pop.
No, absolutely.
Congrats on an incredible career, but hopefully his influence will continue to take an impact on our league and our communities for a long time.
Absolutely. Shout out Coach Pop, man. We miss you. We miss you, brother.
Yes, sir. First, how's the knee?
Oh man, this is my first in my 22-year career. This is my first knee injury.
Right.
I've had the regular tendonitis and the patella, all that stuff, but this is the first time I've ever had a sustained knee injury where I had to okay, you got to get off your feet. You got to kind of be shelved for a minute. And I knew as soon as when the impact happened with me and DiVincenzo, I felt it right away. My knee locked up, and that's why I stayed on the ground for quite a minute to see, if the knee will kind of release a little bit.
Right.
But I knew right then and there was a pain that I hadn't felt before. And I think obviously when I was running back to close out and he collided to me, my knee bent inward, and that's the MCL injury that I had. So, 4 to 6 weeks, the docs told me. I have 4 or 6 weeks now. That's the benefit. That's the benefit of not going on in the postseason. Obviously, I wish I was still going, but unfortunately, even if we would have won game at 5 at home, I would have probably missed 6 and 7. And even further. But I have some time though. I have some time to get it right and and get back to full strength as far as my knee.
That's
but
good.
It was a pain that that next morning, man, after I had told the docs, I was like, listen, it's sore right now. Yes. And this is Wednesday night after the game. And I said, if I wake up Thursday morning and it didn't feel any better, then, Friday morning, let's get an MRI Friday morning. Well, when I woke up Thursday morning and tried to get out of bed, I was like, holy shit. And I called Doc right away. I said, I can't wait till Friday. I need to go today. So that really was it for your season. Yeah. I mean, pretty much. Yeah. Unfortunately, but. Yeah.
Well, at least it's, it's containable. It's non-surgical, 4 to 6 weeks. You get yourself right in this wheelhouse of trying to get some time off. And in that respect, what is your mindset right now? It's always weird. When I played, you add a new variable to it, getting healthy now.
Right.
So you have a forced variable.
Right.
But when I was in your shoes, you lose a series, you'd have these different kind of thoughts. One, sometimes you'd be, devastated. Other times you'd be over analytical. Other times you just want space. My bandwidth is done. I need to get away. Where are you right now with the way this kind of season? I was a big season for you guys, right? Big trade, trying to ram this team together as quickly as possible. Had a hell of a run getting into the playoffs. And styles make fights, and it was a tough matchup for you guys. But where's your mindset before we talk about the series?
Like you just said, Steve. I think it's you unravel all of those emotions, and I've unraveled all of them in the sense of giving me space, going back analytically seeing if there was ways what could I have done better, what we could have done better, thinking about the individual matchups, thinking about their team versus our team, things where we could have did better. And it all has interested my mind since Wednesday night when it was over with. So, I've had a few days that kind of just, each day has been something different, and I've come to grips with it now, with it being, quite a few days after the fact and watching a lot of the other series now and seeing how they unfold. But yeah, you said it, man. I've had all those emotions, to the point where it's like, what the shit, we entered the season well, but like you said, when it comes to the postseason, man, matchups sometimes doesn't determine how well of a regular season you had. It's the matchups, and we ran into a damn good matchup, a team that's been battle tested, a team that's hungry, a team that a lot of youth, but also experience at the same time. And another team that's trying to make the next step. And, they were a worthy opponent, that's for sure.
How does kind of these like media narratives enter your frame of mind at this time of year? Like, for example, because it's the Lakers, because it's you and Luka, it's like it's all about how did the Lakers lose this series? Really, what happened here is Minnesota's a hell of a team and they won the series. Like, how do you deal with some of that when you try to process all this?
For me, I've definitely learned over the years that teams win championships, and it's never always teams always win championships, and yes, individuals get a lot of the accolades and the praise, but a collective group, wins championships. Now, you have your big guys that make big plays at the end of games, throughout the game, or whatever the case may be. But ultimately, teams win championships, and I understand that. And it's never just about me and Luka. It was never just about Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. It was always Minnesota versus the Lakers, and I understand that. And I am at a point in my career now where I don't lose sleep over that. Like, fuck, how did me and Luka lose?
No.
Well, yeah. There's 8 other guys on the floor. Yeah. So
of course,
So
it's always it's the nature of the business. Right? It's the nature of the business. When you've played 22 years, you've heard that. You've seen that before.
I've seen it,
But it is an interesting talking point in general. Is that like you guys are a developing roster. You traded for a big generational piece, but that doesn't mean the roster is balanced, is fully formed, and you don't have time once getting Luka to make moves necessarily that are going to allow you to kind of fulfill that roster, like a way Minnesota is. Like Minnesota could trade pieces out, but essentially they're a balanced roster. You could say I'd rather this guy than that guy, but they have the positions covered.
Yeah, and the only thing they changed, in the offseason, they brought in 2 guys. They kind of lost a big piece. They lost, obviously Cat, but brought in Julius and DiVincenzo. And the other guys came back, so the experience of being in the Western Conference Finals last year, DiVincenzo's played in big games, and those guys just learn and continue to build. Their regular season, I don't think their regular season gave them it didn't give any of us or the narrative that how good of a team they actually were. Sure. They were dealing with a lot of injuries. They were dealing with trying to learn each other, but when the postseason comes and you have that team of collective group, they have a strong 8 to 9 guys, from their starting lineup to Naz Reid to DiVincenzo to Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and those guys they come in and they just play extremely hard, so.
Yeah, from my perspective, there's 2 things I think that they had that you guys are looking for. One is an identity. They formed one this year. You guys are just trying to figure yours out, right? And those collective experiences of being there, looking at each other when you're down 15 in game 3 or whatever it is and say, we've been here before. We know what to do. Instead, you're looking at each other like, I've never been here with you. How are you feeling? How am I? That stuff, those scars, those lessons. So I think they built an identity this year. I think the other part of this was just speed. Yeah. They have foot speed to defend, to attack. You guys had positional size. Though you'd play small for the most part in the playoffs, you guys are 6'6", 6'10" across the board, other than Gabe. So you have the size. You tried, obviously, as you did in the regular season, to a lot of success, kind of zone up, get up in the gaps, try to take the primary ball handler out of the game. But, when they have that quickness and I mean, he's so explosive, man. And he's improved the
playmaking. Exactly. He's improved so much with his playmaking. And you've seen him make the jump, just from last year's playoff run all the way to just one playoff, series right there. He was super patient, even when we were getting up in the gaps and, sometimes we would double him, sometimes we would smoke, sometimes we would just be up in the gaps just trying to make him think, and we did. There was he had one quote where he was like, their defense is confusing, they're making me think. And he figured it out, so I commend him, man. He just he grew throughout our series that I think is going to benefit him throughout the rest of this run.
But 100%. And your guys' strategy felt like, for me, whether you were in a soft blitz or just in the gaps, you were leaving guys in the corner, coming high, loading to the ball, trying to bait him into those passes that maybe he's not sure the guy's going to get a look, or he's got to throw it over hands, trying to confuse him. And I think, to your point, he did a lot of things better this year than he has in the past. He slowed down.
Yeah.
He changed paces. He would drive and he would hesitate slightly instead of just all one speed.
Yeah.
To give him a chance to see, is he coming? Is he not coming? Where's this pass? Where's my window? Do I have a layup, or do I need to get off it? He also, I think, sometimes got into a crowd, and instead of making a difficult pass, he made simple passes, which in the past I don't think he was as willing to make. That's a huge step, right? Just the simple one, get off it and allow your teammate to have a closeout. Or a 2-on-1, right? Like, that's the way to bust the way you guys were trying to load to him.
Yeah.
Tricky because the foot speed piece. So for me, I'd love to hear how you guys approached it. But, even when you tried to double him a little bit, guys were reluctant to run out and double him because he's so explosive. So then he has the time. The time to look around and pick his spot.
Yeah, and that's why we kind of changed pitches. We wanted to try to change pitches on him as much as possible, because we want, you don't never give one player, no great players, one steady diet of the same thing, but even when you try to double him, his ability to race double teams, to split double teams, to get creative, he's still strong too. So it's not like he's a frail guy where you can double him and be super aggressive with him and get him on. Yeah. He's learned over the time, but he's strong. He has low center of gravity. He has a great handle. He can shoot the ball extremely well. And, to add on to what we said a couple of times before in some of our older episodes about believing in your teammates, making them feel even better than what they are as well. And he's trusting his teammates to make plays. I think, that's listen, we got to give Minnesota their flag. That's a damn good team, man.
Very good team.
I'm looking forward to seeing their next matchup, either between, Golden State or Houston.
Yeah, for sure. There was a clip of you telling Ant after the game, take the next step.
Yeah.
Tell me, like, in your words, as somebody that you have played with on the USAB stuff and the Olympics gold medal together, obviously there's some mentorship. Like, well, what did that moment mean to you when you say that to a young player that you've shared the floor with?
I think that moment for me is like, understanding and recognizing the next generation and someone who can do it and be great and be great for a long time in our league. I think that's what our game is all about, is being able to pass it down to the next generation, and they can continue to do great things. And for me, being out there, in my 22nd season, playing against a young up and coming, superstar in the flesh, and Anthony Edwards, and watching him in the postseason last year make those steps to get to the Western Conference Finals and fall short to Dallas, and then have a full summer with him in an Olympic team and seeing how great he was, just listening and just soaking in everything from myself to KD to Steph. You could just see he was just like a little kid in a candy
enthusiasm
store.
For him.
Yeah, right? Like super energetic and happy and just like super, like, he was just grateful that he was in that opportunity to be there. And for me to just like, tell him to take the next step, like, it doesn't always mean, okay, well, Western Conference Finals and now you got to be in the finals. It's like, take the next step and just, you as a person, you as a player, continue to get better and better. Your time's going to come. Whenever I am not I can't decide when that's going to be. Sometimes we have no control over when that next step, as far as being, going to the finals and winning. We're not always have the opportunity to do that, but like we do have control over making the next step in our own individual journey.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was about, because I love seeing that, man. I love seeing, I love seeing Jason Tatum take that next step. I love seeing, now I see Ant, taking that next step. It's a proud feeling for me, as a player, been in the league for so long.
Yeah, you admire it when you see someone's putting the time in and they're improving. Like you said, for Ant to have that type of openness and attitude around USAB, coming in with like, this is a great opportunity. Like immediately it's going to give you excitement for his journey because he wants to learn. You can tell. But I think that, that buy-in of continually improving, someone like he can rely on his athleticism. Yeah. But to take the next step, he's got to be a great teammate. He's got to be coachable. He's got to make his teammates believe he's bought in. I think you could see that, there's always been a little chatter around Rudy or around Randall. And I thought they both were laser focused, simplified their games, were efficient. And that's a lot of it comes from the head of the snake. Is he willing to make the simple play, pass, make his teammates better? Because, Rudy had a great game and he deserves, all the credit in the world. But his opportunities came from the pressure Ant puts on the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything that Rudy did in that game 5 came because Ant approached the game the way he did those first 4 games. Now all the eyes was on Ant, and everything was game planned around Ant, and Rudy was the beneficiary of that moment. And and also like when you have a guy like Ant who's growing and making that change, and you can see him developing more and more, it makes guys want to come there too.
That's right.
Like, you have to think long term too when it comes to like free agency and things of that nature. How do you continue to get better too as a team, is being able to get small pieces. When you're a good team that's trying to become a great team, it's literally 1 or 2 pieces like in the off season that if you acquire, that makes the jump for you. And Ant has that. He has that bravado and that flair and that it factor. That guys want to play alongside that because it's energetic, it's fun, and he competes. He competes.
For sure. And we got to give some credit to their coaching staff. They've done a great job.
For sure. For sure.
They've developed those guys, and as well. It's a symbiotic relationship, right? Like coaches develop, players got to buy in, and they've both done that. And I could kind of read between the lines. Rudy was asked, Ant didn't shoot the ball well, and his comment was, he made the right plays. We don't care if he makes or misses. To me, that's an organizational language. That's the stuff they're hearing in film sessions, in meetings, like Ant make the right plays, make the right decision. And his growth from last year to this year in that way. So I give credit to the whole organization, especially that coaching staff, for helping that team matriculate. How far do you think they can go?
Wow, I personally think, I'm looking at the competition in the rest of the field, which is a lot of great teams left. But I could see them, for sure getting into the Western Conference Finals, if not the finals. I think obviously health is wealth.
Sure.
Health is wealth in the postseason, but I think if they have all the makeups, they have shooting, they have toughness, they have size, they have foot speed, they have playmaking,
defensive
they have experience,
versatility.
They have defensive versatility, which you need in the postseason. And those guys, they play extremely hard, and they have a like you said, you gotta give credit to the coaching staff too. They are putting those guys in the right position to be successful. So, I think they have an opportunity if at least Western Conference Finals, if not then the finals. They have the makeup for that. I think so. Yeah,
it's going to be some exciting series. I obviously think OKC's been outstanding this year.
No, absolutely.
That's a great series. We got a game 7. Taping today on a Sunday. Warriors Rockets, which has been a fascinating series.
Yeah.
And the next round's even going to be more incredible. You know what I love more than the perfect assist? The perfect story. And I've got just the one for you. Audible knows that there's no greater thrill out there than yours and Audible's gripping new original that'll have you right on the edge of your seat. Jon Hamm stars as Jack Bergen in The Big Fix, a Jack Bergen mystery. Think you know the story of Dodger Stadium? Think again. This noir thriller follows Jack, an ex-FBI agent brought back into the game by an old flame, to investigate a murder case that's not what it seems. What starts as a simple homicide investigation unravels into a complex web of conspiracy surrounding a Mexican-American community and the construction of Dodger Stadium. Trust me, this one's a game changer featuring an all-star cast, including Ana de la Reguera, Omar Epps, and Aaliyah Shawkat, with a special appearance from John Slattery. From the brilliant mind of John Mankiewicz and the director Aaron Lipstad comes a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Like any great play, timing is everything, and now's the time to listen. Go to audible.com/thebigfix and listen now. That's audible.com/thebigfix. I gotta ask this. 22nd season playing an entire half in a playoff game. How'd it feel? I mean, you've done that before.
Yeah, I've done it before.
You've done it before.
Yeah.
How'd you feel?
I felt in the moment.
Yeah.
I wasn't tired. I wasn't looking for a sub. I wasn't. If it came, cool. Sure. I would have accepted it. But we had an opportunity to tie the series at 2-2. On the road versus a great team, and the coaches rolled the dice, and we rolled with it. Yep. We just didn't make enough plays. But I didn't leave. I left that game extremely tired and extremely like, shit, because it was a postseason game, right? Not because I played the whole second half. I was tired as hell because I gave my whole money, my body, my mind, my soul to the game for 48 minutes. I was extremely tired. Yeah. But it wasn't because, I played, 24 straight minutes in the second half. No, we had an opportunity and we didn't counter it. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think, aside from like anyone's critique of shortening the bench to zero in the second half, like you got to push buttons, you got to try things, right? Like you can lose, or the coaches have a feeling of what's going on, where the team's at, where the desperation is. The reality is they're a more complete roster at this stage of the story. So for you guys to win, you have to play above your level always, right? You have to make shots at a high clip. You have to be taking care of the basketball, not giving up. It just didn't happen. Yeah. Just didn't happen. And that's what we talked about. Like you're right, Steve. We talked about that. Like the possession game. We lost the possession game in the series, and the possession game came down to offensive rebounds, turnovers, loose balls. Like they're a more complete team than we were. We had our opportunities, and when you have your opportunities, you can't have a high turnover game and allowing them to get fast break points. You can't guard as hard as we was guarding, and then give up 2 or 3 straight offensive rebounds. You just can't.
Which happened multiple times.
So you have to be able to control the controllables. And for the series, we didn't do that. And that resulted in even more of a reason why we weren't able to extend the series. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's always funny that the narratives and would it have made a big difference to put Gabe in for a minute here or there or whatever? But we overreact. Yeah, we overreact. Sure. Coaches, they make it in the moment decision, and we always like to say, well, punish people when it didn't work. At the same time, you lose that game, and there's another problem, right? So at the same time, coach, that's part of being a coach is you got to be brave. You got to make decisions on the fly. Sometimes they're right.
Yeah, and none of us, and by the way, none of us question JJ and the coaching staff for what happened. Obviously. Gabe and Vando, guys that come, have given us so many great minutes. They definitely felt the way, and because they're competitors. Shit, we all feel like we could get in and make a moment happen. But it wasn't a decision which JJ told us. It wasn't a decision that was based on guys not being able to do the job. Right. It was a decision based on the feeling of the game and the momentum of the game. Mm-hmm. And none of us looked at him or the coaching staff anyway for the decision that he made. And shit, it was our fault that we didn't come through.
And that's part of making that decision is knowing that your guys have the maturity and the team first attitude to be upset because they're competitors, but at the same time to be like, I'll be ready for the next game. Yep. That's a part of a winning mentality in a group. Yeah, so absolutely. Yeah. So how are you going to fill this gap of taking care of this knee? You got a little space, little rest and recovery. Yeah. I know you don't like to sit still.
No, I don't.
So how are you going to fill your time here?
Well, man, obviously, number one is to get back healthy. I'll be able to do some small stuff within the next week or two just to kind of get the mobility back into the knee and things of that nature. My youngest son is headed off to college soon, so that's another bird out the nest. A very emotional moment coming up for Bryce going off to Tucson to be an Arizona Wildcat. But my daughter is heavily in volleyball, so I'll be in a lot of gyms this summer as she's with her travel league team out in California. They go all over. They've been to Reno, Nevada. They're going to Las Vegas. They play all over California. So I just spend a lot of time with her, and then take some vacation time with the family. Some of the times that you lose, obviously when you're in the 8-9 month season. And see what this next, what the next journey looks like. I haven't had the conversation with the family yet as far as me going forward or whatever the case may be, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, it's good for you to get some space. I've done the volleyball thing, by the way. My wife played in college, and I have a daughter playing D3, so I've been in all those gyms, all those tournaments in Vegas, and all that stuff. Those are fun times, man. So enjoy that.
I'm looking forward to that. Which I heard. Listen, I heard you got a new thing. You want to speak about that?
Oh,
congratulations to you.
Well, this is you got me rolling here in this media space. So gonna be on Prime Video doing NBA games next year and studio work. Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes,
excited.
sir. Yes, sir.
Great team over there. Taylor Rooks, Dirk, my buddy, BG, UD, a few others. It's gonna be an exciting project, to create a new show and a new way of covering the game, hopefully, or with new voices. So definitely excited. So you're getting me the early reps here.
Listen, I got you, man. Listen, I cracked a smile and laughed a little bit when the news broke, and I seen Dirk tweet out, "I got to carry this guy." Now I got to carry this guy again, like I did all those years in Dallas.
Yeah, I stayed quiet about that. I paid for every breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 6 years, but that's just a part of the gig.
That's a part of the gig, right?
That's part of the gig, man. You got to take the youngster, let him become a man under your tutelage, and then what does he do? He shits on you.
Oh man, that's funny.
Jason, anything you want us to hit, or you go back over, or do you want us to close it out?
No, I don't have anything. I guess the only question I have is who decided to go with the boy band look first? Was it you or was it Dirk?
The Backstreet Boys look, the old NSYNC look.
My brother and I, right before I got traded to Dallas, we for whatever reason bleached our whole head like blonde. So of course, when I got traded, it was like a month or two in or whatever, 6 weeks later, so it had almost grown out. So I had like the frosted tips, and sometimes you don't recognize how bad that's gonna look one day. You know what I mean? You're just like, what's the big deal? I'll just rock up there like this. Then Dirk had like the bowl cut with the Jordan 1 hoop earring. I had the frosted tips. Man, just history is history always reminds us.
Mind the game.
Thanks for watching Mind the Game. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe for more content.